It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the fin side. Inside. It ain't the left side.
Dolphins fans, welcome back to another episode of On the Fin Side. This is Paul Picken. I'll be playing solo for the preview of tonight's matchup, where the Dolphins are going to face the Oakland Raiders on Sunday Night Football. Cat's on vacation, all the best reasons. Congratulations, Cat. If you're a first-time listener for the show, make sure to leave a like and a follow, whether you're listening to us via Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, or any of the other methods that we've got out there and available. The Dolphins entered tonight's matchup with a better record than the surprisingly woeful Oakland Raiders team. They've gotten off to a 3-5 start, while Miami's sitting at 4-3, still in control of their own destiny. The Raiders have lost 5 of their last 6 games. It's going to be really interesting in this matchup, as not only is the Raiders' pass defense surprisingly woeful, but they're without 3 of their top cornerbacks, have 0 interceptions on the season after their big focus in the offseason on improving their secondary. Their top 2 picks in the draft were in the secondary, in cornerbacks Gary and Conley, and in UConn safety Obi Melifonwu, who's a previous guest of the show. Unfortunately, they're still not going to see that tandem paired together, while Obi Melifonwu did return from injured reserve this week and is expected to suit up tonight. Gary and Conley will not play after being designated as out earlier this week. The Dolphins themselves are coming off a tumultuous stretch after their Thursday night debacle in the first of their 3 primetime games in a row, with the second one being tonight. The Dolphins will see a number of projected starters return in this game, in addition to the return of quarterback Jay Cutler and Devontae Parker, who are both expected to return from injury this week. Miami's supposed to see Ted Larson return and get their starting offensive line together for the first time this season, as Ted Larson is returning from injured reserve. As we all know at this point, this was a week of really strong messages from head coach Adam Gase leading up to the game. Called out the players in his press conference the day after the Ravens game. Really sent a lot of strong messages this week. And whether you agree or disagree, in a move that truly will be proven right or wrong over time, looking back in hindsight, Miami did part ways with top rusher Jay Ajayi. Practice returned to the fundamentals this week, and it's going to be interesting to see how this team does respond on Sunday Night Football. For the Raiders, in addition to the aforementioned return of Obi Melifonwu, they're going to see Marshawn Lynch come back from suspension. Obviously, their leading rusher and should serve as a boost to their running game. But they are going up against a Miami team that has been strong against the run this season, despite showing the opposite in their matchup against the Ravens. Miami's still 8th in the NFL in run defense. They're allowing less than 100 yards rushing per game to opposing offenses. This should be a very true test for Miami containing the ever-dangerous Marshawn Lynch. In addition to that, Miami's going to have to really be on their A game with their young corner tandem, defending wide receivers Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree with the ever-dangerous Derek Carr at quarterback for the Raiders. Despite the talents on offense, the Raiders, like the Dolphins, have struggled to put points on the board the last 6 weeks. Outside of their surprising win against the Kansas City Chiefs, the Raiders have allowed 30-plus points 3 times in their last 4 games, and they've dropped 5 of their last 6, while only scoring 17 or less in those contests. So if Miami is going to finally get their offense kick-started this season, this is the week they have to do that. Oakland is absolutely devastated on defense, and Miami's going to have to really get the run game going and show that the move to trade Ajayi was not a mistake here. We're going to have to see a lot out of Kenyon Drake and Damian Williams following that trade. And I expect the Miami Dolphins fans and media, we're all going to be keeping a very close eye and scrutinizing that running back position. If you're a fan of the show and you like what you're hearing out there, there's a great way that you can support the show and give to a good cause while getting something in return. If you haven't heard, we actually launched our merch site, which we got asked about a lot in the past couple of years. We launched it this past week and have some great items, including T-shirts, phone cases, including the iPhone X, mugs, and more. Visit onthefinside.threadless.com for more information. There's a free shipping promotion through December 15th, so some great items for stocking stuffers and Christmas, and a portion of every single sale we have from now for forever will be donated to Dolphins-related charities. So check it out. A portion of the proceeds, like I said, will go to a great cause. Now, for this matchup, there are a few keys out there to keep an eye on. On offense, can Miami Dolphins offensive tackles stop reigning defensive MVP Khalil Mack? Mack's gotten off to a bit of a slow start by his standards this season with only 4.5 sacks, but he is a danger on each and every play, and Miami has struggled at times to defend against some of those quicker pass rushers out there. So this is going to be a true test for Juwan James and Laramie Tunsil in this one. And in addition to their offensive tackles, we're going to need to see Kenyon Drake and Damian Williams do a better job in pass protection than what we've seen the past few weeks out of the running back position. They've missed assignments, allowing guys to run free. This is something that's going to have to be on its A game against a guy like Khalil Mack. Speaking of the running backs, another key to this game is Miami needs to get Williams and Drake going because they need the success of the run game to establish the pass. This is not a dangerous passing team at this point, despite the talent at the wide receiver position. Speaking of the passing game, with the return of Jay Cutler, one of the things that we've seen in the games this season is Miami has kept everything very close to the line of scrimmage in a lot of these games, allowing defenses to cheat. Miami's offense, in particular Jay Cutler, Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, and Jarvis Landry, are going to need to get a little bit more of the intermediate and deep passing game going, especially given all the injuries in Oakland's secondary. If Miami can do that, they're going to force the Oakland's defense, which is already struggling, to play honest in this game, and that could be what really allows Miami to run away with this one. On defense, it all starts up front. Miami's front four needs to get to the passer. Cam Wake is playing better than anybody in football at getting to the passer thus far this season. And Miami has a very strong top 8 rotation, which we've talked about a lot here on the show. If they're able to do that, it's going to help their young corner tandem defend against Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree. If Miami's able to knock Carr around with their front four, it's going to allow everything to happen in the secondary. It's going to force Carr into some bad passes and bad decisions, which could give Miami's secondary the opportunity to have a really big day, but everything's going to start from that front four. Speaking of Miami's secondary, their young corner tandem, as we mentioned before, is going to need to contain Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree in this one. These are two receivers that you cannot allow to get rolling in this game. If their corners get the safety help that we've seen them struggle to get at times this season, especially given the fact that Nate Allen is out this week and we're going to probably see Michael Thomas starting in this one, Miami should be able to really use that to get to the passer. And the way Miami's defense is set up, they are set up for the secondary and the front four to be symbiotic, help each other out, and really help each other thrive. So it's going to be a big game here for Xavier Howard, who's really stepped up the past few weeks, and Cordrea Tankersley, who, while he has allowed a few big plays, has also been an absolutely refreshing player for this Dolphins defense. In addition to that, one of the big things that we saw in the Ravens game that we hadn't seen previously was a great deal of tackling issues out of Miami's linebacker core. We need Ray Malaluga to be what he was in his first few games with Miami, which is just solid against the run in the middle. Not spectacular, but solid. We need Lawrence Timmons to return to the form we saw before the Ravens game with absolutely sure tackling, especially given a running back like Marshawn Lynch. You cannot afford to be a poor tackling team in this one. Kiko Alonso has been up and down with the tackling this season. He needs to be on board here. If Miami's linebackers are able to stop Marshawn, it's going to force the Raiders to be one-dimensional, and that's something that needs to happen. A big X factor in this game is Miami's special teams have struggled periodically at times this season, especially in terms of punter Matt Hawk, who has been very up and down. We need to see some solid hang times, allowing Miami's coverage units, which have been very good this season, to get down the field and make their plays. As if you look at Oakland, they have one of the most devastating return men in the league in Cordarrelle Patterson. Outside of Tyreek Hill, Cordarrelle Patterson is the man when it comes to the return game right now. So Miami's going to have to contain that. One big factor in this game, I do expect to hear Miami a little bit louder this weekend. The out-of-town fan clubs will be in town for the out-of-town fan club game. All of you that are down there, whether you're from New York City, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Virginia, or any of the other fan clubs out there, I know you guys are going to be loud. You're going to get rowdy. Have a great time in this game. If you are in town for the game, head on over to Lot E12. Make sure you pitch in on their tailgate because they always have a hell of a tailgate even when all the out-of-town folks aren't there. Bunch of great guys. Give Jeff Rudman a big hug from us, as well as Mark Angelo. Great group of guys, and have a great time down there. Given what we've talked about so far, expect Miami to respond huge this week. Miami has the ability to run away with this game, and it could well define their season the rest of the way out. Given the extra motivation from Gase, given the messages that have been sent, given the fact that Miami's won 5 in a row against the Raiders while both teams have seemed to have an extreme home field advantage in their history, expect Miami to open it up a bit in this one and run away with it despite the anemic showing last week. Prediction from here, Miami wins this game 27-17. We see touchdowns out of Drake, Stills, and Parker with a couple of field goals out of Cody Parkey. Tune in this week. We'll look back at the matchups, see how we did here, see how the Dolphins did, throw some grades out there for you. And make sure if you're listening to this, you leave a like or a follow, whichever method you're using to listen to the show. Again, this is Paul Pickens reminding you that if it's not on the left side, it's not on the right side, it is on the fin side. Thanks for listening.
It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the fin side. It ain't the left side or the right side.